I'm Kansas coach Turner Gill, and you're watching Big12Sports.com.
Welcome to this week's Big 12 Report as we say goodbye to September and hello to October. I'm Wendell Barnhouse, Big12Sports.com correspondent. My co-host this week is Cassandra Novi, and what do we got to start the show this week?
Well, you know, OSU had a big come-from-behind win at Texas A&M this past week, and I know that you were in Norman covering that game, but I swear I saw you on the sidelines with the Cowboys, and I know folks in Stillwater would agree that you resemble somebody from their town. So I think we have some footage of you down in College Station.
He has been called a crusty old cowboy and described with words like tough, proud, and self-reliant. No, I'm not referring to our own Wendell Barnhouse, but rather Oklahoma State's mascot Pistol Pete. Now we are sure you can see the resemblance, but the two have more in common than just looks. Pistol Pete is based off an early U.S. Marshal who served America. Wendell, how do you feel about America?
Bless America.
Pistol Pete jumps up and down when the Cowboys score. Wendell jumps up and down when things don't go his way. Pistol Pete motivates the Cowboys faithful. Wendell is working on his own motivational techniques.
Get mad at him, get mad! Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose!
Pistol Pete wears chaps to work. Wendell dons a coat and tie. And to top it all off, they have a similar dance routine. For Big12Sports.com, I'm William Draper.
Well, do you know how I can join the Witness Protection Program? I think I need to do that now.
Yeah. Well, if this whole reporting gig doesn't work out for you, I'm sure you could try out for Pistol Pete's replacement down in Stillwater.
Maybe so.
Yes, so we had some great high-energy conference games last week, and then this week we have 3. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Well, it is a pretty big week. Now that we're into October, we're really going to start rolling as far as conference games are concerned. The first game I want to take a look at is Texas at Iowa State. Now, this week, Texas coach Mack Brown said that last year's loss to the Cyclones, one of 7 losses for the Longhorns, was the worst loss that they had. Now, both these teams come into the team with 3-0 records, and I don't think a lot of people expected these two teams to be 3-0. Iowa State is last in the Big 12 in turnover margin. That kind of explains why they've had to come from behind to win all 3 of their games. And, you know, I think that the Texas defense is really going to put a lot of pressure on Iowa State and quarterback Steele Jantz to try to make some more turnovers and try to turn the game around that way. It's going to be tough for the Cyclones and really important for the Cyclones to handle that kind of pressure. Now, Baylor and Kansas State, that's another game that's got 2 3-0 teams that have really these teams have exceeded expectations. This is a classic game of the immovable object versus the irresistible force. Baylor leads the Big 12 in scoring and total offense. Kansas State leads the Big 12 in total defense and scoring defense. The jury's still kind of out on the Bears' defense this year. They really haven't got an identity yet, and I think you're going to see the Wildcats in this game use their running game, try to control the clock, and keep Robert Griffin III off the field. This is another game for Griffin to see if he can improve that Heisman Trophy resume. And the last conference game I want to take a look at, Texas Tech is at Kansas. The Red Raiders stayed undefeated last week with a last-minute victory over Nevada at home. Now, the concern for the Red Raiders coming out of that game is Nevada had 562 yards of total offense, and they ran for 312 yards, averaged 6.8 yards a carry. Texas Tech's tackling was really shoddy in that game. And considering that Kansas is 3rd in the Big 12 in rushing offense, I think this is going to be a key game for Texas Tech's defense to step up and prove that they can play the kind of defense that will get them wins in the Big 12. And this could be a game because Kansas and Texas Tech both have good offenses. Could be the team with the ball last or the team that makes the fewest mistakes. Take a look at the schedule now for Saturday's games. The conference is going to try to improve on that non-conference record. They've got 2 non-conference games. Texas A&M will face Arkansas at 11 a.m. on Saturday at Cowboy Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Looking at the other conference game at that time, it'll be Texas Tech and Kansas at 11 a.m. The Baylor-Kansas State game is scheduled for 2:30. Texas and Iowa State will play at 6 o'clock. The other non-conference game will be Ball State against Oklahoma at 6 p.m. in Norman.
What do you have for shout-outs this week, Wendell?
An overtime defeat of Weber State and Baylor's soccer team pushed its record to 9-2-1. That's the best start for the Lady Bears since 1996, when Baylor's first soccer team started with a 10-1-1 record. And coming up Friday, there's a couple of really big matches in the Big 12. Missouri is looking for a big crowd in Columbia as it seeks its first Big 12 victory when it faces Texas A&M. And it's Bedlam again when second-ranked Oklahoma State is at Oklahoma in the Sooners Big 12 Open. And my second shout-out goes to Iowa State volleyball coach Christy Johnson-Lynch. She set the school record for victories by a volleyball coach when the Cyclones won at Texas Tech over the weekend. The Big 12 is one of 3 conferences in the country with 3 teams in the national rankings. 2 of those teams are going to face off Sunday when number 8 Texas is at number 16 Iowa State in a match that will be carried on ESPNU at noon. And we mentioned Baylor quarterback Robert Griffin III and his Heisman Trophy campaign. RG3 is getting a lot of attention for his touchdown to incompletion ratio. Now, a lot of quarterbacks, you want to talk about their touchdown to interception ratio, and that's how they get measured. But Griffin has 13 touchdown passes and just 12 incompletion. 2 of those were drop passes, so it could be even more impressive. So Robert Griffin III off to a great start.
Yes, and it'll be a very interesting Heisman race for the rest of this football season.
And we'll see how he does against Kansas State's defense on Saturday. We'll be back next week to talk about that and the other games this weekend. For Cassandra Novi, I'm Wendell Barnhouse for the Big 12 Report, and we'll see you next week.